Hey there, chipmunks! Welcome to the AMP Cycling Ride Review Series. I'm your host, Angry Chipmunk, and today we're in Japan taking on the Yamaguchi Tsunoshima Island Ride. This route is available on Rouvy, so let's get right to it. This is a very short ride at just 13.4 kilometers long with a very mellow 133 meters of elevation gain. The whole ride averages just 1% and will peak at 8%. There's just one Strava segment included on Rouvy, with just the one on Strava as well. There are a couple of other small hills along the way though. This is kind of a there and back again route, as you do start and end in the same spot. However, you'll only be traveling twice along the connecting bridge. The small tour of the island is a loop. Well, the only segment is at Tsunoshima Bridge. It's at the 425 meter mark, is 1.12 kilometers long with 14 meters of elevation gain, averaging 1.1% and peaking at 5%. For the most part, it is very flat. You can actually see the rise of the hill as you come up to it, and is only about 230 meters long to the summit. It's a very nice bridge to cross, and unless you're really busting for a good time across it, there's no reason to rush this one at all. There's a small hill at the 5.1 kilometer mark. It's about 470 meters long with 21 meters of elevation gain. The gradient math says that it averages 4.4% and peaks at 7%. This hill is not overly difficult, with the last 100 meters or so being the steepest bit where you'll see that max gradient. The lead into this hill is very flat, so pretty easy to carry your speed into it. There's a bit of a downhill following it, which leads to a few smaller hills, all staying within 6%. There's no real need to pace any of them, as they're all very short. Just push along and they'll be done in no time. The last real bit of climbing in this route starts at about the 9.7 kilometer mark, is again about 470 meters long with 28 meters of elevation gain. The gradient math puts it at 5.9% average with a peak of 7.6%. Rouvy doesn't do half percents, so this is where it gets the 8% route max. This hill is only a small amount more elevation gain than the last one, but it does sit in that 5 to 7% range for almost all of it. You'll want a bit more of a push here, as the lead into it is all positive gradient. It's a very mild uphill at mostly around 2%, but it is still uphill. The downhill following it is the same one you came up just after the large bridge, and it puts you right back into the large bridge to head back to the start. There are again mild ups and downs with nothing too significant to the end of the route, and that's it. For this ride, you don't really need any kind of warm-up at all. Just spin while waiting for it to load, and then use the route as a warm-up for another ride, or just take it easy. And this is exactly what I did. If you are going to do this as your only ride though, I would say to give it just a couple of minutes on either side, just long enough to get warmed up and cooled down. And depending on how you want to use this ride would depend on how you should fuel for it. I usually always recommend pre-fueling, and that would be especially important if you're going to move on to another ride after this one. If this is your only ride of the day, it isn't really important to have much fuel on board or to fuel during the ride itself. If you're moving on to another ride, fuel for that ride either before or during this one. Even the post-ride supplements can be lower if you're taking this one easy. The views on this ride are amazing. Similar to other rides I did in Japan and Asia, the route follows along the coast or crosses big oceanic bridges, which are simply unreal. The coastal views are epic. Some of the roads are literally meters from the ocean. And once you're more inland, the views are a bit more green scrub before you head back out to the ocean again. And on top of the hills, you can see all of the other islands in the distance with large green hills all around. Everything about this ride is worth looking at, and it is just amazing. I pushed this one a bit and finished it in about 25 minutes on 100% difficulty emulation. I use this route as a warm-up for another ride, but if you're going to be doing this route only for the day, I would say to budget anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes for it. It's perfect for those with time restrictions, or for those wanting an interesting warm-up instead of just sitting and spinning. If for some reason you need to stop and start again later, anywhere along this route is suitable to do so. Overall, this is a fantastic, beautiful route that I would definitely recommend for any level of rider. Even if you've just started out riding, you'll definitely be able to do this route even if you need to slow it down for the hills. And if you're a more experienced rider, this is a perfect route to use as a warm-up or just as a short ride when you've got minimal time available. Either way, it's a great little ride that's well worth doing. For this route, I give a 5 of 5. Absolute gem, this one. Great spin through what might be a national park and an amazing ocean views to get there. It's not very traffic heavy, which also really adds to the appeal. For the climbs, 0.5 of 5 for both. Neither are super long or difficult, which is great for any level of rider. For the view, 5 out of 5. Without a doubt, one of the coolest rides out there with the big ocean bridge and oceanside roads. Even when you're more inland, the distant views on the other islands are amazing. I'm really just disappointed that this route is so short, as the scenery is just beautiful. And overall, 5 of 5. Definitely put this one in your ride queue and keep it there. Really great for all of the reasons mentioned and well worth doing multiple times. Well, that's it for this review, so thanks for watching, chipmunks. Let me know what you think of the Yamaguchi Tsunoshima route if you complete it. I'll leave you to finish the rest of the ride, and I'll see you in 2 weeks for another review. Until then, ride on, chipmunks, ride on.